Hello and welcome, our blood viewers, to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we bring to you the major and top highlights of tonight. The head of state receives a delegation from the Saudi Ministry of Transport. Djibouti and the European Union for a promising future. Djibouti and the European Union united for a promising future. Midterm review. And on the international scene, von der Leyen pleads for peace in Gaza, Egypt. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The head of state, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received the Saudi Ministry of Transport. Mr. Saleh bin Nasser Al Ghasir, at the head of an integrated delegation from his country at the Palace of the Republic late on Monday morning. The meeting between President Guelleh and a member of the Saudi government immediately provided an opportunity to exchange views on the state of development of the privileged relations of brotherhood, solidarity, and cooperation that two nations enjoy in almost all areas of development. These talks culminated in the head of state outlining the general strategic guidelines for increasing the level of trade and economic complementarity between our country and the brotherly kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The integrated delegation led by Al Gasser were promptly made up of the Saudi public officials who had taken part in the fifth edition of the Djibouti Saudi Joint Commission, which opened yesterday Sunday here in Djibouti. The fifth edition of the Djibouti Saudi Joint Commission in the Business Council between the two countries resulted in the adoption of a series of memorandums of understanding and an agreement to set up a major exclusive logistics zone for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia within the Djibouti International Free Zone. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, Mr. Hassan Muhammad Ibrahim, the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Mr. Daya Ad-Din Saeed Ba Makramah, and the Director of the Arab Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Muhammad Duali Wali, took part in the audience between the President of the Republic and the delegation led by the Saudi Ministry of Transport. Saudi Arabia's Minister of Transport Saleh bin Nasser Al Ghasir took advantage of his current stay in Djibouti to lay the foundation stone for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia's future exclusive logistics zone in Djibouti's International Free Zone on Monday afternoon. For his part, the Minister of Infrastructure and Equipment, Mr. Hassan Muhammad Ibrahim, stressed that the Saudi delegation's audience with the President of the Republic reaffirmed the two countries' shared interest in further strengthening bilateral relations and cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Today, in the solemn communities of Djibouti's People's Palace, the European Union orchestrated a crucially important workshop devoted to the midterm review of the multi-annual programming 2021 to 2027. Under the aegis of the NDIC, a Global Europe Investment Instrument, this event brought together high-ranking personalities, marking a pivotal moment in the collaboration between the European Union and Djibouti. Jointly chaired by the Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of industry and the European Union Ambassador to Djibouti and IGAD, the workshop aimed to examine the relevance of strategic and thematic choices while assessing the progress made in achieving expected results and the effectiveness of budget adaptation. The review structure aims to assess the relevance of strategic and thematic choices while analyzing the budget observation and results achieved in crucial areas such as climate change, human development, especially education, migration, children, gender, governance, and digital actions. Discussions will be structured around three main themes, taking stock of current cooperation, lessons learned, and prospects for future collaborations. Following in the footsteps of many countries around the world, the Republic of Djibouti today commemorated International Children's Rights Day at the People's Palace. The anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, Djibouti has signed the Convention on the Rights of the Child, organized by the Ministry of Women and Family with the support of UNICEF, UNFD, Qatar Charity, SOS Children's Village, and USAID. The day was attended by the Ministry of Women and the Family, Madam Muna Aden Usman, the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble, the Ministry of Defense, Hassan Umar, the representative of UNICEF in Djibouti, and the representative of Qatar Charity, and the director of Qatar Charity also. This commemorative day is an opportunity to look back on the great achievements for children, but also on the present challenges that need to be resolved, as well as the opportunities that can help improve the living conditions of the most vulnerable children. The Djibouti government is giving a central place to all aspects of children's rights and protection in order to improve their quality of life. To this end, the Ministry of Women and Family has launched a 2-day awareness raising campaign to inform the public about children's rights, highlight the challenges they face, and encourage actions to improve their lives. And as a reminder, today, as everywhere else, the world celebrates Children's Day, highlighting children's rights. However, Palestinian children have been suffering serious violations since attacks on Gaza began in October. In occupied Palestine, thousands of children are being killed, injured, and their homes destroyed. In violation of international resolutions in this context, the Euro-Mediterranean Observatory for Human Rights reports that over 6,400 Palestinian children have been killed or reported missing. Over 15,500 have been injured and around 450,000 have lost their homes. Organizations including Defense for Children, International Palestine, and UNICEF are calling for an end to impunity and Israeli attacks on children. Universal Children's Day, whose theme this year is for every child, every right, comes at a time when violations of children's rights are on the increase in many countries in conflict. Urgent appeals are being made to protect children and to put an end to all forms of violence against them. The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Robli Abdillah, and the President of the Commune of Balbala, Mr. Mohammed Hassan Saeed, chaired an important coordination meeting between the Health Department and the Commune of anti-malaria activities. The meeting provided an opportunity to share ideas with a view to creating the synergy between the health services and the local community to enable the population to take greater ownership of this preventative activities. The president of the Commune of Balbala and his team were fully prepared to support the efforts of the Ministry of Health in the fight against malaria. Giving the importance of this activity, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Rabli Abdillah, for his part, urged all those present to intensify communication, awareness raising, and advocacy among Djiboutian households. The Finance, General Economy and Planning Commission, headed by the Honorable Charmanki Musaari, held two working sessions today with the Ministry of Cities, Urban Planning and Housing, Mrs. Amina Abdi Aden, and the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, Mr. Mumin Hassan Beri. The first meeting focused on the draft law number 27/N/23 of 9th Legislature, aimed at approving the financial accounts for fiscal year 2022 of the Urban Rehabilitation and Social Housing Agency area laws. The second part of the day was devoted to examining Bill number 28/N/23 of the 9th Legislature, approving the 2022 financial accounts of the Waqf property of the Diwan. The Honorable Charmanki Musa and the committee members were joined by the Minister of Muslim Affairs and Waqf, Mr. Mumin Hassan Beri, and the Diwan's social leaders. After constructive and in-depth exchange during these two sessions, the Commission expressed a favorable opinion on both bills and forwarded them for adoption at the next public session. The French National Authority for Nuclear, Radiological, Chemical and Biological Safety and Security, in conjunction with the International Atomic Energy Agency, is organizing a regional workshop on the development of a roadmap for the implementation of a nuclear security detection architecture for nuclear and other radioactive materials not subject to regulatory control at the Acacias Hotel from November 20 to 24, 2023. The aim of the event is to train participants in the development of national roadmaps for the implementation of nuclear security detection architectures for nuclear and other radioactive materials not subjected to regulatory control. The workshop was attended by the Director General of the National Security, Mr. Hassan Saeed Khairi, the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Nabil Mohammed, the Director General of the National Authority, Mrs. Marina Tlis, and the IAEA expert, Mr. Mohammed Mirza. The workshop was also attended by experts from various countries in the region, including Somalia, Sudan, and Malawi, as well as experts from national institutions such as the National Authority, the National Security, Customs of the National Gendarmerie. During these 5 days of training, the workshop will be led by the experts, Mr. Mirza and Mr. Dines, and the national expert, Mr. Osman Hassan. Participants will also discuss best practices in the architecture of out-of-control radioactive materials detection. Let's listen now to the IAEA expert, Mr. Mohammed Mirza.
Pleased to be here, and would like also to welcome all of you to this important workshop, the regional workshop on nuclear security detection architecture roadmap. For your information, we have planned this workshop since a long time. This workshop is supposed to be held back in 2020. As I mentioned in my conversations with DG Hassan just now, due to COVID, we could not implement it, and we have to postpone. And now I'm happy to be here, and with the good coordinations with the government of Djibouti, then we are here today for this week, for this workshop. And I would like to thank the government of Djibouti, in particular the National Authority, National Security, Ministry of Higher Education, and rather other relevant agency for hosting this important workshop. As you know, one of the core responsibility of the IAEA is to play the central role in strengthening nuclear security framework globally. So in support of achieving these objectives, member states, we have here different member states, you are encouraged to establish and enhance respective nuclear security regime. And as you know, the responsibility of nuclear security within a state rests entirely with that state. Yeah? So, but as you know, the IAEA, upon your request, we can provide assistance and further support to strengthen your national detection capability and other specific areas.
The director of the National Security and Safety Authority emphasized the importance of this three-day workshop with the participation of foreign experts. She reminded that several points concerning security would be discussed during these 3 days of the workshop. For his part, the Director General of the National Security, Mr. Hassan Saeed Khaire, stated in his speech that the aim of the event is to train participants in the development of national roadmaps for the implementation of nuclear security detection architectures for nuclear and other radioactive materials not subjected to regulatory control. The 10th meeting of the Djibouti-Ethiopia Joint Defense Committee was held in Djibouti from November 19 to 20. This crucial event brought together delegations from the two neighboring countries to assist their defense cooperation and strengthen their strategic ties. To round off this important event, a ceremony was held at the Hambuli Technical and Tactical Training Center. Let's listen now to what the Ethiopian general had to say.
Excellency General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, the Chief of the General Staff of Djibouti Defense Force, distinguished members of delegation, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of Field Marshal Brahanu Jula, Chief of General Staff of Ethiopian National Defense Force, and that of my own, it is a great pleasure and privilege for me to take this opportunity to thank you for the warm and brotherly welcome and hospitality accorded to me and my delegation since our arrival in this historic city of Djibouti, which is, of course, our second home. And thank you for hosting me and my delegation. In this critical time, which requires mutual cooperation between our sisterly countries to overcome common security challenges and strengthening the existing excellent and long-standing historic relationship the two countries are enjoying for. I would like to appreciate the Djibouti Armed Force for being by our side whenever the Defense Force of Ethiopia need your assistance at critical time. My appreciation go to the member of your Defense Force, especially the adjustment unit, for this restless efforts to make the border. The border areas are secured. Ethiopia Defense Force in particular and the Ethiopian government in general will never forget what the Djibouti Defense Force has been providing assistance at any critical times. Allow me, General, to say a few words on the well-established relation between Djibouti and Ethiopia. The relation between Ethiopia and Djibouti dates back to centuries, despite change of leadership in both Ethiopia and Djibouti. Their relations have remained strong based on mutual trust and cooperation. Their relation is established on a strong foundation and cordial cooperation focused on matters of mutual interest. I believe that, faced with the continuing suffering in Ethiopia, Djibouti simply cannot stand by any vice versa, which more work a peaceful future. It is possible in our countries. It is mandatory. Therefore, further strengthening of the already existing excellent relation between the two countries should be maintained and expanded.
Lieutenant General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Chief of General Staff of the Djiboutian Armed Forces, delivered a priceless speech highlighting the importance of defense cooperation between Djibouti and Ethiopia. His speech highlighted the importance of cross-border cooperation to counter terrorist threats, human trafficking, and arms smuggling.
Aussi pour l'Éthiopie. Je reste toutefois confiant que notre collaboration aboutira à des résultats positifs. Avant, je tiens à féliciter le peuple frère et le gouvernement éthiopien pour le progrès réalisé dans la consolidation de la paix en Éthiopie. Général Techom, chers collègues, soyez assurés de mon engagement et celui de mon état-major pour élever davantage des excellentes relations de coopération entre nos deux forces armées et de sécurité dans l'intérêt de nos deux nations.
In line with the defense protocol signed in 2011, the meeting assessed defense cooperation. Discussions focused on broader security issues, joint patrols, information exchange, combating illegal activities, counterterrorism, and peacekeeping. The two sides agreed to strengthen their cooperation to counter terrorist threats, human trafficking, and arms smuggling recommendations, including the strengthening of joint patrols and continued collaboration between the officers. The next meeting is scheduled to take place in Addis Ababa in 6 months' time, as agreed by the two generals when they signed the minutes of the meeting. Finally, the closing ceremony was marked by the entertainment of the Harbi folk group from the Djiboutian army, who celebrated cultural diversity by performing traditional songs in Somali, Afar, and Ethiopian. The day ended with an exchange of gifts between the delegation and a symbolic photo immortalizing the moment of fruitful collaboration. Let's watch.
tahay ilwaadii markiyan askari gala arligaynu leenahay eba ugu dhartoon ogada xisaarayay.
The International Tower of Djibouti at PK23 today hosted the ceremony for the handover of state-of-the-art crane, two tugs and a loader to the ESR Logistics Park. This important logistical equipment was handed over by the DPCR, the institution in charge of the corridor, to the Gendarmerie of the Road Safety Squadron in the presence of the DPCR Director General Mr. Abdi Ibrahim Farah and Gendarmerie Chief of Staff Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, as well as his close collaborators. The equipment, accompanied by spare parts selected for their performance, their reliability, is now operational and available exclusively to the ESR. The crane, with a maximum capacity of 40 metric tons, is specially adapted to the requirements of operations in port areas and road corridors. The close collaboration between DPCR and ESR, in accordance with the Decree number 2018/319, is a perfect illustration of a shared vision to establish a network of road corridors that is not only reliable and efficient for trade and economic development, but also safe for users and goods transiting these essential routes. Of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen said on Saturday that she was opposed to the forced displacement of Palestinians after meeting Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in Cairo. In addition to our humanitarian support, we are reaching out to our partners in the region to put an end to this. I had an excellent meeting on this subject with President al-Sisi this morning. In particular, we discussed the need to work together to avoid regional escalation. Egypt is a key partner in this area. Its voice is heard throughout the region and by all sectors. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.